Hey everyone, welcome to the video today. I just wanted to make a brief video regarding interviewing and tactics that I personally have used and that I've recommended to others that have had great success. Some of these principles may be common sense to some of you, but to others there may not. So here's some recommendations that I would have to take in consideration for your next interview. So number one would be punctuality. Many people know to show up on an interview on time, but some seems like it escapes them and they show up late. Definitely not a good way to make a first impression. Obviously, things happen sometimes. If there's an accident on the way to your job interview or something of that nature, you want to go ahead and give the company a call or the agency that you're interviewing with a call and let them know that you're going to be running a little behind. Of course, this is something that should be planned on, though. I would recommend leaving your house significantly early to make sure that you arrive to your interview on time. And when I say on time, I mean 15 minutes early is the ideal time you want to show up to an interview. You don't want to show up too early because it sets a precedence of you being kind of desperate to get the job, or you may not have much going on. 15 minutes is usually the ideal time to show up. So once you arrive at the company or agency that you are interviewing with, you want to go inside and introduce yourself to the person at the front desk or whoever's checking you in. It's likely not the people that will be interviewing you, but it's the person that is going to be telling the people that are interviewing you that you're there. So you want to make sure 15 minutes early, go in, introduce yourself, and then have a seat and wait for your name to be called. Very important is attire. When you are arriving to an interview or preparing for an interview, you want to make sure that you are dressed very neatly. You want to make sure that your hair is clean and styled correctly. It's not looking like you've missed a few haircuts. You want to be clean and presentable. So facial hair should be well kept and should be trimmed and neat. You'll want to be consistent with whatever company guidelines that you're going to be expected to adhere to with grooming. So say, for instance, like a police officer, it's going to be probably a neat goatee, possibly a beard, possibly clean shaven. So you'll want to figure that stuff out prior to even interviewing, so you'll know what to prepare for your interview. And then working our way into attire, you're going to want to typically dress one step above what you will be expected to wear on a day-to-day basis. By that, I mean, if you are, for instance, going to be a waitress, and you're going to be in, like, say, black pants and then like a nice white shirt, button-up shirt, you typically want to wear like a very nice dress to that interview. Now, if you're going to be hiring for a management position, you're going to want to wear essentially a suit. It's important to wear something that is one level above what you're going to be dressed as arriving to work on a day-to-day basis should you get the job. Once you are in the interview, your name is called. You're going to come into the room and there's probably going to be a panel of people. It might just be two people, like an HR representative and the hiring manager, or it could be a panel of people. Be prepared for this because sometimes it can be off-putting to have 10, 12 people asking you questions in an interview. So be prepared that you might be in a room with 12 people asking you questions. That's something to kind of work through in your mind prior to showing up. Once you get into the room, no matter how many people there are, you want to make sure and introduce yourself. Typically, once you enter the room, you're going to sit down and they're going to introduce themselves, and then you'll want to say, "Hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. Thank you for having me." And then the questions will likely start. You'll want to bring your resume with you to this interview because you may know your work history and your education and the questions they're going to ask you by heart, but sometimes in the pressure of the situation of an interview, people tend to forget details. So it's good to be able to have something to reference, such as your resume. Plus, if they want to look over your resume and they might not have it in front of them, it's good to be able to have it to hand out. So maybe bring a couple copies. That would be a good tip. And you always want to bring something to an interview anyways. It just looks like you're more prepared. So like a nice zip up folder or something with a couple resumes inside, a pen and a notepad would look really good to bring. So once they start the questions, you're going to want to be prepared to answer these questions directly not too much bouncing around the point. Just get right to the point, answer the question, and then give them time to notate what they are putting down as your answer, and then move on to the next question. You don't want to take 3 minutes answering one question unless they're looking for an extremely detailed response. So something, for instance, might say, hi, Jim, tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this position. And you would say something along the lines of, well, I'm interested in this position because it fits with my life goals, my work experience. I feel like I would be a good addition to this company. I have a passion for whatever position it may be, and I'm ready to begin working as soon as you're ready to hire me. So something along the lines of that would be concise, short, to the point, and it's not going to drag on too long. You don't want to give them your full life story. They're going to ask you several questions. Be prepared to answer a variety of questions. In the past, I've interviewed quite a bit, and I try to plan prior to the interview with a friend or family member, and I have them ask me just random questions so that I am prepared to think quickly and determine what my answer is going to be without too much, just thought while you're being asked the question. You don't want to have this long pause after they ask the question where you're just kind of wondering what to say. You want to be prepared. It's normal to be nervous in an interview, but you don't want to be terrified. It's important to be cool, calm, and collected. That's something that I have always recommended in most of my interviewing coaching. Is cool, calm, and collected is probably the 3 biggest things that you want to make sure of in your interview. If you're not cool, calm, and collected, it's going to show. I mean, nervousness is one thing, but if you're frantic and all over the place and looking like you might not really be a good fit for the position, they're going to sense that, and they're going to probably drop you down a couple points of where you could, and it could affect your job offer or not receiving one. Once you get through the questions, they're going to always ask at the end, do you have any questions for us? You don't have to ask them a question, but sometimes it's a good idea to, think of one question that you've been wondering about the position that is, something related to the position, but not something related to pay. Typically, you never want to ask a salary or pay question in the interview. That looks unprofessional, and it also makes it look like you're only interested in the position just to receive a paycheck, which what they want to hear is that you are interested in the position for the position, not just to get a paycheck. So something that's worked well for me in the past when they've asked me, hey, Justin, do you have any questions for us? That concludes our questions. I would say something along the lines of, tell me a little bit about the history of the company, and how, what are you looking for? What's your ideal candidate? And sometimes that'll open a discussion, a brief discussion for them to explain to you, a little bit about their company, what they're looking for. And it gives you a little more idea of what to expect. Maybe this is the job for you and maybe it's not. Which brings me to another point. It is good to understand and go in with the mindset to an interview that you're interviewing them as well. So you need to not be desperate, because it's gonna show. You should be interviewing companies to work for, not just, putting all your eggs in one basket and be like, I have to get this job. You want to apply to a lot of different positions that interest you. It can be in the same realm, some kind of like supervisory role, or say a hairstylist, or, who knows. But you want to apply to many positions so that you're able to interview a bunch of different companies and find out the best fit for you. You don't want to just settle on the first person that makes you a job offer. Know your worth. I'm sure you have plenty of skills and attributes to offer to a company, should they offer you the position. So just know that going in. Always give yourself kind of a pep talk, and realize that you have a lot to offer them as well. It's a good thing to do. So I don't really have too much left to offer as far as advice on interviewing. Probably the only other thing I would say is just make sure you look prepared. That's probably one of the things I've seen as a hiring manager. People will sometimes come in and they're, they just look like they just got maybe done working out or working around the yard, and they're just kind of in a hurry, maybe a little sweaty, and just, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like they had planned to be at an interview today, which is something, I mean, that's your first impression, so you want to make sure you nail that. After the interview, I wouldn't be too many questions like, oh, when will I hear back? Or how soon are you going to make a decision? You just kind of want to just leave it as a, nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Look forward to hearing from you. Just leave it at that. If they want to get a hold of you, they will. If 2-3 weeks goes by and you haven't heard anything, I don't think there's anything wrong with dropping an email to possibly like the assistant or whoever you checked in with and say, hey, I just want to check back or follow up on that, interview. Can you let me know what the standing is of that position? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I definitely wouldn't, 2 days after say, hey, just following up, you want to give them some time to make their decision. They're probably interviewing several people as well. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them on interviewing. I've personally interviewed a lot, and then I've interviewed many, many people as a hiring manager. So I'm pretty experienced in that realm. So if you would like to contact me or you need help interviewing or have any other questions, my name is Justin, and I'm the founder of To The Fullest. We offer personal development, coaching, and motivation. Happy to do one-on-one programs with you if you need. I want to get you where you want to go. So you can reach me at tothefullestchannel@gmail.com. Again, my name is Justin, and the email is tothefullestchannel@gmail.com. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video. Go ahead and drop a comment below if you'd like me to discuss something else in the future. Other than that, have a great day. See ya.